Welcome to Basket Case Builds. Today we're going to be changing out a left-hand front drive shaft in a 2004 YG Cruze. Let's go for a drive. You'll hear how bad this thing is and we'll get to changing it. Alright, let's lift this up on the hoist and get this drive shaft done. Righto, first things first, tyre off. 19mm. We need to remove the following items. We need to remove this lower ball joint, bolt out, separate the taper lock, tie rod end needs to come off, and other than that we should be able to pull that out once we release the spindle away from the actual drive shaft. So let's give it a go. We need to remove this drive shaft nut. If you don't have a big rattle gun like I'm going to use, I've got a 3/4 rattle gun, you just need a second person to apply their foot on the brake. Caliper will then lock the pads up onto the disc, and then you can get a breaker bar and a socket. This one's 30mm. That's free now to move out. 14mm. Split pin and a 17mm. Never reuse these. Take the tie rod out first. I usually just be a bit gentle with it. Put a bar through top of the control arm and lever up slightly and give this a tap with a hammer, and it should shock the taper lock. In theory. I left the nut on specifically for that, because you'll end up hurting yourself, stuff going everywhere if that flies out. Alright, same bar that I used on here will come in and we'll go inside the chassis rail and we'll lever down. Hopefully, it's already loose. Sometimes you've got to tap in here But that's already loose, so that's good. There we go. It's now out of the way. That drive shaft can come out. Just there we go. Drive shaft is free. Okay, we now need to put a lever bar behind the alloy casing, but do not lever into the seal. You need to lever against the actual drive shaft and lever back further on the casing, not on the seal surface, on the inside, because you'll be putting a new seal in. Different bar this time. This is just a nice kind of 45 lead on it. Now this will leak oil, so we shall go and prepare the new shaft just to put it straight in so we don't have to waste too much oil topping up. Now this is our new shaft that's turned up. Comes with a new nut. That's what you want. Try not to re-stake old nuts. If you have to, I guess, but not a good idea. I'll try and always use a new nut to stake. Should be right to go. Let's go and swap them out. You can see in this snapshot that I took from the previous video clip that the new shaft has two things different to the old shaft. The old shaft doesn't have that tin deflector, which is just to the right of my thumb next to the clamp. That there I actually had to cut off. I just used a cold chisel, it's only tin. You'll see in the video that I attempt to fit it and start putting ball joint bolt and a tie rod bolt in. You'll see the deflector sitting there looking pretty, but I then discovered that when I tried to do up the retainer nut, it was going horribly wrong. That's when I realised it shouldn't have been on there. Also, the speed wheel, the little wheel that the all-wheel drive sensor reads as it goes around, is not on this one, and that's when I started to get really worried, but then realised you can pull the old speed wheel off the old shaft, and I didn't get it on video cutting that tin deflector off, but I'll show you when I install the speed wheel on the new shaft. Right, let's lever this out. Position a drain tray under the shaft. Because we will lose some oil. Bar in this way. Let's see if we can get some action. There it goes. Alright, I've got the new shaft, even though you can't see it, sitting next to me on the floor. Let's get ready to put it in. it in with the new one. Try not to smack that shaft seal when you go in. Finally, they do go in. You don't need to hit them. That probably took like a minute and a half. But we're in. And you can tell they're in because they click. Okay. Let's install this shaft onto the spindle. Alright, we're going to lubricate this shaft so it can slide inside the hub, spindle assembly. I'm just using an anti-seize product. You don't need tons of it, just need enough to have the shaft lubricated. Alright, that's in. I've already checked, the wheel bearings are fine and there's a seal that runs against, so that's not a drama. Okay, I'll grab the bar, push this lower ball joint down, reseat the ball joint. There we go. Alright, we'll put our tie rod and our lower ball joint retainer bolt back in. Alright, got our castellated nut. The torque for these are 35 to 50 Newton meters. They give you such a broad range of torque so you can line up the hole in the castellated nut for the cotter pin to go through, split pin, whatever you want to call it, wherever you're from. So we'll start at 35 Newton meters and we'll work our way up. It's 35. We don't have a hole in sight yet. Let's go up another 5 Newton meters. 40. 35. There we go. Beautiful. The ball joint bolt, this fella here is 60 Newton meters. Well, I nearly had an epic fail. I started to put this back together and then realised it didn't have a speed wheel on it for the sensor for the all-wheel drive system, so managed to pull this one off with a 3-legged puller on the old shaft. I'm hoping that that's gonna tap onto there. I'm going to put a little bit of heat into it, just to warm it, nothing excessive, and we'll tap it on. Close call. Pretty happy with that. Okay, so after the epic fail of attempting to install the shaft with the tin dust guard that I didn't need and no speed wheel, we're back to torquing the tie rod and the ball joint back up, and we'll continue on. Alright, considering nobody's at home that can help me with the brake pedal application, I'm going to do this. It's not highly recommended. I'm resting the bar there. Putting that through there and torquing up the bolts that way. 127 foot-pound. I've already torqued this once, but I'm just showing you what I did. We'll stake the nut. I just use one of those type chisels. Line it up with the key. Give it a smack. Tyre on. Start's lubricated, just with a little bit of engine oil. You can use an anti-seize, but I find a lot of silver grade anti-seizes will let you over tighten the nut even when you torque them, due to the viscosity of it. That'll do till we get them on the ground and torqued up. Right, we're into the car. I have to top up the gearbox. There's the new drive shaft. There's the plug, the level plug. That is the drain plug. Alright, gonna get some oil. Alright, and some more 75/90. she goes. All right, that's full. Let's put the plug in and get it on the ground. Let's see what it does this time. How noisy it is. Thanks for watching Basket Case Builds. Don't forget to comment, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The car's running fine. Hopefully get a few kilometres out of it. Thanks again.